morning. So my job here today is to talk about symbolism in GAR, and it's about a timeline. It's about who the people were and what happened and why those symbols were important during that time. So throughout its entire life, the GAR had very, very unifying symbols. There are certain symbols that were prevalent no matter what the chapter was, no matter who you are, no matter where it was in the country. And the first and foremost, most important one was the GAR star. And you'll see that on page 1 here of the photos. The GAR star was given in a medal to every single member. So the medals were actually made from cannons that were melted down during the war, after the war. So that they were a part of wherever that cannon was, so they were all part of the same member. This symbol, this GAR symbol, is across the board, part of the members, part of the cemeteries, part of everything. It was on their letterheads, it was stamps, it was everything, and it never failed. It never changed, it never failed. Although each additional post, outlet, or even members may kind of added to it, and we'll see some examples of that later, depending on their area, what was important to them and what was, symbolic of where their home was. So when we talk about historical timelines and membership, it was founded in 1866, and its height, it had almost 500,000 members. And at that time, that was 1 out of every 126 people. And if we take that today, that would be 2.3 million people, twice the amount of people that are active in the military right now. So it was a lot of people. The last member died in 1956? And actually up until 1983, there was one member's surviving granddaughter left who was still getting benefits. So it was important through a huge timeline. Okay, so the Victorian era. So the GAR crossed two important symbolic areas, the Victorian era and then to the Edwardian era. So both of these were polar opposites. So you have to think about taking a symbol that was the same throughout its entire life and creating it and putting it into two polar opposite designs. But they did. So, and we will see that in the picture pack. So actually if we look at the picture on page 1, the basic symbol, the 5-point star, all 5 branches of the military at that time, which included of course the cavalry, the Marines, the artillery, the Navy, and the infantry. And if you look at the points, those are what's called a trifoliate design. I think we would kind of call them a club design, but they're called a trifoliate. And then each one has its own symbol. So each branch of this star was a branch of the military, and each one had its own symbolic gestures. So this star never changes. Like I said, it's on the medal, it's on grave markers, it's on a lot of things. So when we talk about incorporating that into the design for the cemetery, it's paramount. It's paramount. It's one thing that should be sacrosanct. It just shouldn't change. Go to page 2. In the top is a newer GAR marker. Graves that are discovered that are GAR, you can apply to the government and they will send you this marker. It's new, it's a new design. It has...
It's the upper left?
Upper left, correct, sorry. Yes, upper left.
How big is that? Oh, it's pretty big.
It's pretty decent. I mean, it's like 8 inches, 6 to 8 inches, like that. So, the one thing I am not yippee-skippy about in this is that it doesn't include that design. And I'm not sure why they didn't do that, because the older markers did. However, it does include the symbolic in the middle with the people, and that there's a whole there's freedom, the baby, symbolizes the youth of our country and the protection of the innocents. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there as well. But, I mean, we can do better. We can do better. But if you look right next to it, that's the medal. That is the medal that was given to every single member of the GAR. The top part where the cannons are was the part that was melted from the cannons. And if you look at it, you can tell what timeline the medal was given by the arrow that the eagle is holding. If it's down, it was given after the war. If it's up, it was given during the war. So it was also, the flag that was on it was a silk, beautiful silk flag. Some of these still survive. I can't believe it, but and that represents, of course, the fragility of our freedom and how important it is to protect it. The star is hung in that particular fashion. Always, of course, there's a lot of people who say that, you know, symbolically it's not good to hang a star upside down, but it's the way it was made. So look next to on the upper right. There it is. That is classic Victorian design. When you think about Victorian design, you think about every surface having something, a design, a texture, ornament of some sort. Everything was colored. There was nothing plain at all. But then when you go to the Edwardian era, it's clean and neat and rigid lines and very austere. So if you look at this has the Victorian one up here in the corner, has the design, has the corners, has textures on this, and then you come down here, this is Edwardian. So if you look at it, it has only the 4 symbols of the militaries on the corners, and then, I'm not sure why it wasn't, but, sorry. So, let's see. This is, sorry, I'm brain deaf. So these were given out in the South. It was their own making. It was a particular county, a particular post. They made their own symbols. When I talk about them including their own symbol, this is what they made. I've tried.
It's a stake or something that goes
It
down
is.
in the
It's a
ground?
grave marker. It's a grave marker. I've tried to blow this up. There was something, but it's been rubbed away, and it's so hard to tell. My guess would be it would be a branch symbol from a particular military type.
It looks like a number
service.
from here, like, looks like 48.
Does it? God, good for you. I can't see that.
So it could be
It could be, very much.
if they're numbered, right, the
Absolutely.
organizations.
Yeah, I would definitely say the second symbol is an 8.
So
I mean,
when we talk about important symbols for the JR, the second one is the obelisk. From Victorian times to even Edwardian, it covers. They always it went over from one era to the other flawlessly. So when you talk about the obelisk, you talk about reaching to heaven, and the pinnacle, the peak, is the point that pierces the veil into the next life. So this is from a cemetery in Pennsylvania. It's beautiful. The whole cemetery is laid out in the star shape. All the grave markers. So if you were buried in this one, in this point here, you were in the Navy, because that's the point on that star of the GAR. And the whole thing is laid out with this beautiful obelisk in the middle.
Do you remember where in Pennsylvania?
I will get that for you. I do have it. It's amazing. So if you see it from the sky, it's just beautiful. So bottom. Okay, can you scroll down a little bit, Bert? Go down here. There we are. Ooh, whoa. Now this is a Victorian GAR marker. This particular font crosses all eras of the GAR from beginning to end. If we have somebody researching that font, trying to find that font because it was on all the medals, it was on everything.
No, the big letters in this one, is that what you're talking about?
Yes, the angle, like look at the angle of the R, look at the angle of the A, the beautiful swoop here of the A. I think
Is
it's,
there, and is there a G? I mean,
The outside.
yes, the outside is G.
oh, they have big outsides of G,
Yeah.
I wasn't seeing that, I'll get it.
Yep.
Okay. No, I
No
get it.
problem.
I get it.
We have the gentleman from Cabrillo who's has a friend who's the font master who's researching all
Great.
this stuff. That would be great. So when I talked earlier about every chapter and every post including their own thing, this one is from Iowa. Here's a surprise. They included, look at the font. There's our font.
Yeah.
Continuing. And look, I think they grow a lot of corn there. That would be my guess.
Yeah.
So.
Didn't have it was a corn farm.
Upset.
It was, and so every post had their own thing. So that allows us to do some research of when was our chapter founded? What was it like here? What were we growing here? What, was there a lighthouse? Was there, we obviously wouldn't put a surfboard, but I would think it'd be cool, but So, go ahead and
You
scroll.
have the book about our chapter?
I do.
Yeah.
So go ahead and scroll to the next page. So here's when I talk about the two different areas, Victorian, Edwardian. So every surface is covered. There's something, there's design, there's texture. And this is extremely symbolic. If you look at it, the texture changes as it goes up. So this is smoother. So it talks about from the time you're born, your life is tough, and then life gets smoother and beautiful as it goes on. And then you reach your final destination. So everything had symbols. And now here we look at the Edwardian. Here's our symbol here. The same smooth lines, and then the drape covering the peak. Now, if it covers the point, the drape is a symbol of mourning, of course. But when it covers the peak like that, they call it, because it was for a group of people and not a particular person, it covers the entire group. You're mourning the entire group. So, go ahead, scroll up. It's fascinating. We think about timelines. So we've got to figure out where we are in this timeline with our group and what symbols will be important during that time. So, last one. Okay. Last page of the photos. Oh,
That's it.
really? We're missing a page?
Right, we have another.
We have a thing.
We have a page. Okay, we'll go from there. So,
Oh.
this is
I'll keep looking. You go ahead.
okay, that's fine. Okay, so the one on the left is the monument for Mr. Stevenson. Benjamin Franklin Stevenson. He was the founder of the GAR. This is in Washington, D.C. It's huge. It's so. All right. When we look at it, we've got the obelisk shape, right? But what they did is that instead of making it smooth and just the standard obelisk, they built it by bricks, meaning many, many, many people went into making this actually happen, besides Mr. Stevenson. So it's a foundation built on many people. You see the symbols there, you see the laurel leaves, of course, victory. Yep, okay, so the one on the right, I love this one. I just love it. This is from a cemetery in Lancaster, PA. So this is, those cannons are actual cannons that were from the war. And we have the flags. Now the flags crossed, if a flag is unfolded, that means that it's actively during a period. It's like if you see, oh you haven't found it, okay. So if you see a postcard with soldiers marching and the flag is unfolded in the Victorian time, that means it's during the war. It's during the war. It's active, something's happening. Exactly. when it's folded like this, when it's at droop, when it's at rest, that means it's over, it's done. So, perfect for, of course, a cemetery. Now this, I like to think, and I'm pretty sure that I'm right, they kept the symbol of the obelisk. If you look at it, with the flags, you still have the obelisk symbol. You have the squares on the base, you have the beautiful point coming up, and so it was just another way to keep that same symbol, but they added their own touch to it. So, sorry. Right. So, what's going to be important throughout, when we put the design out there, when we have people wanting to help us with the design, we have a design contest, whatever we're going to do, we're going to have to set guidelines and say, hey, you know, these are the things that are sacrosanct. These are the things that we can say, hey, have fun, run with it. But remembering these symbols is crucial, and I think that putting out some sort of symbolic booklet would be great, which says what is what, because for people to just throw something into it, oh, I love the way that looks, but not understanding the meaning is not so great. But when you look at cemeteries across this country with GAR, these are the things you're going to see over and over and over again. So I wanted to talk about the symbol. If you go back to, the page 2 with the GAR marker in the upper left-hand corner. So this was the Medal of Honor. When you see that medal in a ribbon, it's the Medal of Honor that was made by Congress, again, with the cannons, from the medal down. The face of the medal has the Goddess of Liberty in the center, representing loyalty, and on either side, soldiers and sailors clasping hands, meaning, of course, all the units, the cavalry, the Navy, were all together. And then fraternity, of course. The two children, I can't believe there's 2 children, I can't even see.
You can see it on there, yeah,
I know.
it's a lot
There
easier.
we
One,
go.
they're kneeling towards each other.
I'm looking this way, great. The 2 children, of course, are receiving a benediction and assurance to protect them from the military, from their comrades.
Oh, interesting.
That's a symbol of charity. On either side of the group is a flag and eagle representing freedom, and an axe and a bundle of rods, and they're not arrows, they're rods, just to let you know, symbolizing all the union of all the states. So I think that, that's pretty good. Let's see if early. So, look at the first page with the pictures. Let's talk about the star just a tiny bit more. So, when we put that out there for people to make our designs, there are everything, the tips of the stars are at very particular degrees even. I mean, this was all done by Congress when the medal was put out. I mean, like the cross cannon is at 0.072 degrees. These things are there, and I think that honoring these people, honoring these men and some women, in a way that we just shouldn't change, you know? We just shouldn't. So there are great other Victorian symbols to consider that are at many GAR plots: the laurel leaves, the urns, cremation, wreaths, eternal life, broken columns. You just see them a lot in cemeteries. You think that they're supposed to be that way. It's a life cut short.
We have a lot of those.
Yeah. Upside down torches, life extinguished. Everything has a symbol. So, and depending on, even on a plinth, the way the curves go, it's all symbolic. The curves going this way was a life well lived, long, cut short. You know, it's the Victorian Era, a symbol for everything. So I think that when we find people to come in and they're interested in this, and they really want to make a point of this, and they really want to share this with their community and build this up, it's going to be important to express these things. So I think that creating some sort of booklet of symbolism would not be unheard of. I think it'd be really good.
I think we would continue to use it, not only, like you say, to inspire the artists to do something appropriate and to, have these things feed into it, but also, be great for our tours in the future and training us and recording and whatever symbols get included, we want to remember why.
Right.
and all
And
those
future
things.
signage that explains it.
Yeah,
Out
yeah.
there.
And even, walking tour app
Yeah.
of some sort.
Exactly,
Absolutely.
online.
Absolutely. So that is what I have for you today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think this is incredible
You're welcome.
progress.
Thank you.
And really important background.